Theo, there's a headline that says that he has not interacted with any of his receivers, hasn't met with any of them, hasn't gathered with any of his receivers yet. How do you feel about that? Because Devontae Adams said that if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, he's not playing.
Well, my grandma was here at my cabin where I am yesterday, and she told me that she saw a headline that said Aaron Rodgers will be coming back to the Packers next year. And I'm like, where did you see that? And she's like, it popped up on my phone. So I don't know where she's getting that information, but I guess that's a little bit of inside breaking news from my grandma that she's going to break the news that Rodgers is coming back. And this is all nothing to worry about because she said he'll be back.
So Theo, you're just like totally trusting your grandma here?
Are you saying that she's lying?
Yeah. Are you calling my grandma a liar?
What the hell's wrong?
I'm not calling your grandma a liar, man. I'm just saying
you're supposed to respect your elders, and she has been on this earth longer than I have. So who am I to say that she's wrong?
That is totally fair.
Oh, if I know Theo's grandma,
you don't.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot, featuring the two greatest co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. How are you guys doing today?
I'm fantastic.
I'm great.
Matt, we're dealing with some bad weather today, but we're still on vacation, so
we're gonna
on vacation with horrendous weather. But just remind everyone that we are on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. So whatever you can do, whether it be subscribe, rate, review, we'd always appreciate it. And make sure you give @StayHotPod a follow on TikTok for some great content there as well.
Yeah, isn't there a hurricane rolling into Florida or something?
There is. It's a tropical storm now. It got downgraded.
And you guys are in Florida.
Yes. But
Right,
it's supposed to go like right above us. So like we're in Naples and it's supposed to hit hard in Tampa. So
okay, well, I'll text our producer about Stay Hot being a solo act going forward, and we got to prepare for that possibility, I guess.
Yeah, you wish.
Man. I literally can't die until the Browns win the Super Bowl. I'm basically immortal.
You're immortal until that happens.
Yeah.
You will,
pretty
you will
much
stay alive.
And as we told you guys last episode, we are releasing a third weekly mini episode called Stay Hot Shots, where we'll just be giving like a quick but in-depth review about anything and anyone. I just did a Deshaun Kaiser review thanks to Landon Hunn's consistent asking. And if you have any ideas for anything else you'd like us to review, again, you can leave us a comment in the YouTube comment section, or you can email us at stayhotpod@gmail.com. So before we get started today, we do have a voicemail that we want to get into. So let's hear it.
Hey, it's Ned from Virginia. Just wanted to let you know, great podcast. I really enjoy it. I just had a question for you guys. I am a Washington football team fan, so obviously after making the playoff last year and looking pretty good against the Buccaneers, I'm very excited about this next season, but I do feel like I need sort of a reality check from an unbiased source. And where I live, there aren't too many unbiased sources. Either someone is a Washington fan, thinks they're going to be great, or they're not. Often Eagles fans say they're going to be trash. So just thoughts on that would be great. Thanks.
How many wins did they have last year? 6?
7, I think.
7?
Ooh,
7.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a lot of things about their team. I really like the receivers. I thought they added some good pieces. I like Chase Young a lot. We all like the Davis pick, but their offensive line isn't very good. And Ryan Fitzpatrick is really good for a quarterback who bounces around the league. But straight up as a quarterback, he's probably a little bit below average. So I don't know how high their ceiling is.
I think best case scenario for Washington is that Taylor Heineke ends up being awesome and they can just roll with him. But I feel like the odds of that happening are pretty slim.
I mean, the reality check is pretty easy, where it was maybe the best defense in the league last year. Or I guess the Steelers had pretty clearly the best defense in the league last year. But the reality check is that the defense peaked last year and they regressed a little bit this year. Jamin Davis doesn't bring them over the top to the number one defense. Maybe they just don't. Maybe there's an injury. Like defensive performance year to year is not super consistent. So either they're the same or worse. Ryan Fitzpatrick played one of the best. He was playing some of the best football of his career last year. Maybe he doesn't repeat that, and then you're just stuck with, Jets Ryan Fitzpatrick on your team. Or,
Ryan Fitzpatrick is interesting. His career track is basically anytime he has no expectations to succeed whatsoever, he goes out and he does pretty well. But then as soon as he has expectations to like put a team over the top or do something great for a team, it's just a total dumpster fire.
Yeah, that is kind of true. I guess, the bright spot for them is their division still isn't good. I don't trust any team in that division right now.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are getting Dak back. Yeah. But even then,
right.
I'm not a fan of the Cowboys right now, at least roster wise.
Right. I look at you look at Washington, and you've got a team that just went 7-9, and who did they add to improve? They added a rookie linebacker and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like, are they going to be a 10-win team? Probably not. Like, can they be kind of in that 7, 8, 9 range? And that could be enough to win the division, maybe. But like, I don't think that they're just going to all of a sudden be this like juggernaut. So that's your reality check.
Who exactly played how many games for him at quarterback last year?
Alex Smith played the last 6, I want to say. Kyle Allen played maybe 5, and Dwayne Haskins played maybe 3. That's not adding up, but something like that.
I think Haskins started 6 games. I don't know, dude.
Did he?
I am not some like Ryan Fitzpatrick is so amazing guy or anything.
But he's got to be better.
But he's
Haskins
better than Dwayne. Yeah, that's a pretty big upgrade.
Yeah.
From 6 Dwayne Haskins games. It is.
I suppose. And I guess maybe Taylor Heineke looks like he did in the playoffs. Maybe they roll with him if he looks really good in the preseason. I can see that narrative getting... we've all kind of forgotten about it now, but like once the preseason
Taylor Heineke's playoff game against Tampa was outstanding.
Yeah, he was like literally good in that game. But if the preseason rolls around and Heineke looks better than Fitzpatrick, it would not surprise me at all that we see Heineke starting week 1. I think that'll be a pretty open quarterback battle.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, but it is easy to get ahead of yourself with one game. I remember Matt Flynn.
I remember that too.
400-yard game, right?
I remember that well against Detroit in 2010, I think, where he set the Packers touchdown record, beating Rodgers, Brett Favre, and Bart Starr. Yeah, he held that for a little bit or tied it or something. And then the Seahawks paid him off the strength of that one game, and then he got benched for
Russell Wilson.
He got benched for Russell Wilson. So I guess maybe Fitzpatrick is Matt Flynn in that scenario.
And then Taylor
Heineke's Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Sounds a little silly when it sounds a little silly.
Yeah, it does sound a little bit silly, but hey, I'm sure everyone thought it was a little bit silly to start Russell Wilson at one point.
I'm sure. I think Dallas wins that division though, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the reality check we all have for Washington. Things can be better, but I wouldn't bank on them being phenomenal. But if you do have other questions, you can obviously leave them at 614-349-8050. We'll hit them from time to time and are always looking to hear what you guys have to say and always looking to answer your questions.
I was just going to say, one of my biggest problems when I'm making TikToks is that I have filler words that I keep reusing over and over and over. And one of them is obviously. And I just thought it was funny right there. You're like, you can obviously call 614 as if everybody like would have known the number.
I feel like we say it enough. I feel like we say it enough.
Maybe so.
Or at this point, it could be, if I say a phone number, like I think it's pretty obvious what you're supposed to do with that phone number. Like,
all I'm saying is I put out this TikTok one time.
Me. Just like
I put out this TikTok one time, and then I listened back to it after I posted it, and I had said obviously like 7 times or something. And it's just, so I don't know. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, I say anyway on this show way too much, but anyway,
I say flippity flop. I don't. But no, sticking with the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys are going to be on Hard Knocks, and I don't know if you guys have watched a decent amount of Hard Knocks. But I feel like it's only fitting that it's Dallas.
This is the 3rd time it's been Dallas, right?
But
They're probably the most entertaining team.
Yeah, it's like
just to get inside the. I mean, maybe I'd rather see the Panthers, but as a fan, I always feel like it's for the best that my team isn't on Hard Knocks.
The Panthers had All or Nothing, that Amazon show, which was almost the entire season. They had that. I don't know if you watched that at all, but I thought that was super interesting. I don't know if that's something they're doing again, but yeah, I'm excited for the Dallas on Hard Knocks because as a Packer fan, I'm excited to get an inside look at Mike McCarthy coaching the team in training camp. Because Rodgers called him the dumbest coach he's ever been around. There were stories of him leaving film to go get massages. There were stories about him just kind of being oafish and not a great coach. And with cameras on everything, I'm sure that everyone kind of puts on a little bit of an act when Hard Knocks is around, and he's gonna be on his A game and not try to get caught slipping like that. But that's what I'm super interested in seeing as a Packer fan. Is like
McCarthy.
Let's see what McCarthy's attitude is.
Isn't Jason Garrett still their offensive coordinator
in Dallas?
No, he's in.
He's in New York.
I was thinking New York. That's on me because we. What were we talking about?
You can stay on. You just demoted to offensive.
Yeah, has that ever happened?
No, I can't imagine it has. That would be insulting. I'd just leave.
Yeah, no, at that point. Yeah, I was maybe why am I thinking about Jason Garrett? No, it's because we were talking about he probably won't be able to pull anything together for that Giants offense.
Yes. But yeah, I'm excited to see, Dak's recovery. And I think Dak is really going to have a good personality for Hard Knocks. I feel like he's someone that could definitely even get into media or something after his playing career is over. He's very well spoken. So I think he'll be likable. I'm trying to think of other guys on the Cowboys. Zeke's going to be hilarious. Be interesting.
Zeke is going to be hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I can't wait to see Zeke. But
maybe
I feel like
Jalen Smith.
Yeah, Jalen Smith.
And Micah Parsons is an interesting guy.
Oh, that's right. They did get Parsons. I still don't love that pick, but no, it'll definitely be an interesting personality.
Yeah. I mean, who would you like to see?
What do you mean?
If I could pick anyone in the league, I don't know. I might go with the Buccaneers. I feel like. I don't want to see any more. I don't want to see any more Brady. Actually, never mind. I don't want to see any more Brady.
Weren't the Buccaneers already on Hard Knocks? Wasn't that 2015?
They were there pretty recently. Honestly, I think the Cardinals could be interesting with Cliff and Kyler, and Hopkins would be a great guy to have on TV. Hopkins might be the coolest NFL player.
I mean, he was great. He was great last time he was on.
Right.
Hard Knocks. I kind of would like to see the Saints, the Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston quarterback thing, because Jameis should be the starter going into Week 1, but. I don't think Sean Payton would have any problems going with Taysom Hill at quarterback. That's something he definitely wants to do, at least from what I've seen.
I mean, they like using Taysom Hill in any way they possibly can. So
the 49ers would be super interesting, too, with cameras all over Lance and Garoppolo. That would be kind of cool to see that quarterback battle play out.
So, okay, maybe a little bit off track. How much is Taysom Hill actually getting paid? Because I know that he got that huge contract that was a sham to try to work around the cap space with everything the Saints had to do because they were $100 million over the cap space going into this offseason. How much is he actually getting paid? Because I think he's getting big money.
I mean, before he was making $20 million. And I would assume that it's about the same now, even though he got
his contract. To my knowledge, his contract or his actual money that he's making is not supposed to change. The whole purpose of it was a 4-year, $160 million contract, so that way they could just negate any cap that they would have to pay on his salary this year.
Yeah,
and they could just break it up.
It says his guaranteed at sign is about $12 million. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Trusted, I would say that.
That's pretty high for. I guess it makes sense because maybe they consider him more like a top tier backup or maybe even a low tier starting quarterback. Plus, he does stuff on special teams and he can get in the game in other ways. So I guess that makes sense.
I remember back in the day, many people probably don't know this, but I made a TikTok that said, how should the Saints deal with their salary cap issues? Because they were about $100 million over the cap. And I said, Well, the first thing I would do is I would bring Taysom Hill into my office and I would say, you need to take a pay cut. And he says no, so I have to kill him. And then I was like talking about how I would like set up Saints players and like send them to jail or like kill them. And that video got an insane amount of views in like half an hour. And then TikTok took it down and labeled me as a dangerous individual. So if you were one of the lucky ones to
Are
see
you a
that,
danger
that was
to
a funny
society,
video.
Theo?
But TikTok called me a menace to society for that one. That's my Saints
fans became pretty dangerous to me when I talked about their cap issues.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that you said they had cap it. Yeah, it's that you said they'd go winless.
Winless.
Which,
okay. But
it still hasn't not happened yet.
Can you blame me?
Yes.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Saying that they were going to be a worse team, maybe not a bad take at that time. And it didn't seem to hurt them quite as bad as we thought it would, but they did lose a lot of good players. But saying that they would go winless before you even saw what happened...
Especially with Sean Payton, who has like had nothing but success with quarterbacks not named Drew Brees and has like a big winning record in his career. And like a team that was obviously always going to have Michael Thomas and Kamara and probably Cameron Jordan back. Yeah, the 0-16 take, I would bet against it happening the way it stands right now.
Well, I've stuck to my guns before. I don't know if I'll do it.
Double down. They're actually going to go 0-17.
They're going to lose the most games of any team ever.
I said they would go 0-16.
Are we looking at the worst roster in history at the Saints team?
Probably not.
All right.
No,
and we all know that having a bad roster isn't enough to usually to go 0-16.
You would know all about going 0-16.
I know exactly.
Whatever you say about going 0-16.
I know exactly what it takes to go 0-16, and the Saints don't have any of that. So,
all right,
yeah,
all right.
They don't have what it takes to go.
They don't have what it takes. They're not built like the Browns. They're not contenders to go 0-17.
The Browns were just built different. But Theo might actually be talking about Jameis on the next Stay Hot Shots episode, so maybe look out for that. But back to the Cowboys. How much Jerry Jones are we going to see?
Probably a good amount.
Hopefully a lot.
Okay.
How much no Jerry Jones, it's not worth watching.
Well,
as much as possible.
Guys, I think that we got a really special team out here this year. I really like what Steven and I have done with the squad, and I think that the division is ours for the taking.
You have some pretty good impressions. I can't lie. You have some pretty decent impressions.
Thank you, Blaiden. Really excited for Dallas football. That was good. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
That wasn't bad.
Honestly, I haven't heard Jerry Jones' voice in a minute, so I'd have to go back and listen to it. But I'd like it to be more like a good amount of Jerry Jones. He's pretty entertaining. And the more they put him in there, the weirder it is that they're like not showing the players.
Yeah.
Like imagine it's like 40% just Jerry Jones, 60% actual football stuff. That'd be funny.
I mean, the reason that Dallas is because of Jerry Jones.
Yeah.
Like when we say, "Oh, Dallas, that's one of the more entertaining teams to get," it's not because their roster is constructed with all these like interesting players. It's because Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I want to transition into Aaron Rodgers real quick. Theo, there's a headline that says that he has not interacted with any of his receivers, hasn't met with any of them, hasn't gathered with any of his receivers yet. How do you feel about that? Because Devontae Adams said that if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, he's not playing.
Well, my grandma was here at my cabin where I am yesterday, and she told me that she saw a headline that said Aaron Rodgers will be coming back to the Packers next year. And I'm like, where did you see that? And she's like, it popped up on my phone. So I don't know where she's getting that information, but I guess that's a little bit of inside breaking news from my grandma that she's going to break the news.
Is your grandma like a Packers insider?
And this is all nothing to worry about because she said he'll be back.
So Theo, you're just like totally trusting your grandma here?
Are you saying that she's lying?
Yeah. Are you calling my grandma a liar?
What the hell's wrong?
I'm not calling your grandma a liar, man. I'm just
You're
saying
supposed to respect your elders, and she has been on this earth longer than I have. So who am I to say that she's wrong.
That is totally fair.
Oh, if I know Theo's grandma,
you
she's
don't.
got some. But if I do, I'm sure she's got some inside sources. So if I'm a Packers fan, it's a big relief.
You're feeling pretty good. Yeah, no, it's a big weight off of all of our
good.
shoulders as the fan base. In all seriousness, it doesn't shock me. I mean, he's kind of holding out. So, like, I don't know where they'd be meeting with him. He's
but, like,
probably
what is he
chilling in
holding out
California.
for? What is he holding out for?
That's kind of a good question.
I guess
it's not like he's waiting. It's not like
fired?
he's waiting on an extension. It's not like he's waiting on a pay increase. He's unhappy with the way the organization is being run, and he wanted to be traded. He didn't get traded. What is he holding out for?
I guess Gutekunst being fired, I think, something along those lines, changes at the top that no one is going to make because the top isn't going to fire themselves. So, like, he's really not holding out for anything that's going to happen.
Aaron Rodgers fires like everyone in the building. On some
I would rather
LeBron
have Rodgers
shit.
than Gutekunst, but I mean, if he does come back, I don't think missing time with the wide receivers is going to really hurt him that much. Maybe Amari Rodgers is the only new face. Maybe getting some timing down with him would be nice. But it's essentially Devontae, wide receiver 1, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, probably on the other side of him, Lazard as the big slot guy. Like, that's probably all about the same. So, like, he had plenty of practice with them last year. I don't think that he's, like, forgotten how to play with them. So if he does come back for training camp, like, I don't think that his absence in the off season is going to be this big detriment. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I wish he would just show up at this point. Like, I don't want to see the Packers Jordan Love throwing to Marquez Valdes-Scantling if Devontae doesn't.
I don't think anyone wants to see Jordan Love. I think there's a reason why he was listed as the third string quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not confident, but. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. But, my grandma said he'll be back, and so I think he'll be back.
Theo's grandma is a football genius, from what I've heard.
Yes.
I kind of think that, like, he just wants to not do football stuff right now. It's not even about, like, holding out. Because, like you said, there isn't any clear thing that he's holding out for. He's just kind of frustrated at the organization, and his options are, in the middle of July, go work with the receivers and go back, which he's, done over and over and over, and it's basically the same receivers. Or, maybe relax for a little bit, take a little bit longer of an off season, take a little bit longer of an off season.
Yeah.
I think
it's an expensive
it might not be more
vacation,
complicated than that.
Yeah, that's an expensive vacation.
I think he
though.
can afford it. I think he can afford it.
He probably
I'm
can.
being totally honest with you.
Yeah, he just got married. Maybe he wants to spend some quality time with his new wife. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I never know with him. He's a strange guy. Aaron Rodgers is a strange guy, but I do think he'll be back week 1, and I do think that he will eventually show up. But that is not me with any inside sources other than my grandma. That's just a gut feeling.
Well, your grandma didn't tell you that. Your grandma didn't tell you more about Aaron Rodgers?
Nope, just that she saw that he would be back.
He will be back. That is a guarantee.
He will be back.
Well, I want to also talk about the college football news, because college athletes can finally make some money. And, there are some people that are concerned that, maybe this is a slippery slope. Maybe some players are going to be making too much money, which I don't know how that's even feasible. But I think this is a fantastic thing. And I've said before, people talk about how there's no parity in college football. I think this is the solution to creating parity in college football. I think we were to go back to BCS format, and then just have the ability for players to make money. That would solve parity easily.
I think it definitely favors colleges with bigger markets. I don't know if it's great for parity.
It favors colleges with more money, not necessarily bigger markets. Because
the colleges themselves,
Harvard alums are going to have stupid money. There's colleges who are smaller markets who are going to have more money.
Who is the most marketable college football player? Who is the most marketable college football player that does not go to the big Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, Oklahoma? Who is the most
Last year
marketable?
It was Zach Wilson.
Last year it was Zach Wilson.
By a lot, I feel like.
maybe it wouldn't be your Cincinnati guy.
Maybe like Derek King.
Derek King. I mean, he was in the news because he said he wanted to split
Yeah.
the money with his teammates, which I thought was super cool. I mean, I know Iowa State has that running back that could be a Heisman guy, but like, is he really all that marketable? I wouldn't know his face if I saw him. Like, I do think it'll benefit, the big guys like that Clemson quarterback, and like I think it'll benefit them more than anyone. But is that really a change? Because that's where all the guys are going anyway. Like, oh, God forbid all the elite prospects go to the big schools. Like, that doesn't happen already.
I'm just saying, like, you could now, like, let's say Miami of Ohio, just to throw it out there, wanted to get, just to throw it out there, wanted to get like a 4-star quarterback, right? They could now make a pitch that says, hey, we have X deal with X company. You come here, we can secure you a sponsorship with them.
But
I don't know if that's quite how it works.
Maybe not.
First off, Miami of Ohio is in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to hear the
it has got to.
I mean,
what sponsorship deal are they landing? Like Pizza King, the local
yeah, I'm telling you,
they get corn.
Whatever offer they can make isn't going to beat an offer that like
actual
USC
Miami could make,
or actual Miami. Yeah.
Hey, you're the other Miami. Come to us.
Nah, man, Miami, Florida's the other Miami. Don't get it twisted.
I don't know.
I think with the mix of the 12-team playoffs, basically meaning that there's now 4 or 5 teams that will probably make the playoffs 80% of the time, and the fact that those are the teams with the biggest markets, they are even more the number one places you have to go if you're a top recruit. Because if you want to get sponsorships, you need to play on the biggest stage. So I'm going to go to the spots that guarantee I can play on the biggest stage.
Although you might be a backup for 2 years. Like Mac Jones may have gotten a bigger sponsorship if he went to go play at a place where he could have started all 3 years instead of being a relatively unknown guy that only gets his one big year to shine, Like in Alabama, you have to spend 2 years on the bench because everyone's so good. And you don't get that time to build your brand with the sponsorships. So,
but I don't know if that's necessarily true. First off, like the new transfer rules make it possible to kind of do both, and you're already seeing a ton of recruits do that. Where I keep talking about Ohio State because that's the team I know the best. Ohio State has way more great wide receiver recruits than they can possibly ever play, and they know that. The receivers there aren't stupid. They know that if they don't win out there, they're going to go to a smaller school where they're guaranteed to start, and they'll get playing time that way. But it's worth taking the risk because the new transfer rules mean that you don't have to sit out a year. But even then, I think Mac Jones would make more money sitting his entire career except for his last season for Alabama than
but who is
if
signing
he were
back
to go
up Mac
start
Jones?
for West Virginia.
Who is signing backup Mac Jones to a sponsorship deal? Like no one is, and then he's got his 1 year.
I don't think that's Matt's point. I think Matt's point is that you would make more money signing a 1 year massive deal with like Coca-Cola at Alabama than you would signing like a CC's Pizza deal for 4 years.
Yeah, but Alabama, like if we're using Mac Jones, he wouldn't have ever gotten that opportunity because people wouldn't have known he was marketable until like halfway through the season. And then at that point, there's no use signing him to some. I guess you could because it would go into his NFL career, wouldn't it?
Because he played a couple of games before the season before, and people going into the season knew he was a starting quarterback for Alabama. That's a big deal. He absolutely, I think, would have had sponsorship deals. And I think you make more money that way than
would
starting
AJ McCarron have gotten paid? I don't think so. I think maybe Devontae Smith would have been a more marketable guy than. But like again, and it's like you look at who the most marketable guy over the past like decade in college football would have been. I think of like Johnny Manziel. Like that's who I think
Reggie
of, and he went to A&M, who's not like this powerhouse school. I feel like the sweet spot for sponsorship deals is signing with like a good Power 5 program, but not an elite one, like one that's kind of in the middle, like A&M, where you're a big name and this is a relevant school, but not the biggest ones because there's so much turnover there. Like if you can be a hero at a school, like a hero, and you can't really be a hero at Alabama because they have a million heroes. It's better to be like the dream, the sweet spot is being like a guy at not the big 6 or like the big 5 schools.
It's like Cam Newton. Cam Newton at Auburn would have been like the most marketable player ever.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Here's what I think people aren't taking into account. Texas A&M, kind of that middle sweet spot. They are 8th in recruiting for 2021. They're not actually this middle of the road school. They're one of the top teams. This is the same thing for like USC and Texas. Those schools already recruit super well and they're still bad. Their problem isn't going to be fixed by this, I don't think. And I don't think college football's problem is going to be fixed by this.
Yeah. I don't know. At any rate,
I still think it's a good idea. I don't want to act like I'm against it.
I'm 100% so ridiculously for it. If a player can go make money, they should be able to make money. Exactly. I just don't think that it fixes recruiting. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair take. I would say that I don't think it really moves the needle either way because it's so top heavy anyway that like it either stays just as top heavy or it gets better. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. And with the playoff, I don't know. I feel like the playoff, that's another team where it's like, if you can get in, if you're like one of those teams in like the 10 to 12 range and you can pull off a big upset and you're the star, that's where you make the big money. So I feel like, maybe it doesn't help with recruiting, but it's going to be better to be you are now in a better situation if you're kind of on a team that's like ranked 10th. You're in a better situation.
Yeah, I mean, because you'll be in the playoffs, you have a chance to make a big upset. I don't think the odds of, going into the 12-team playoff, I don't think that the odds of a team finishing 10th and then winning it all is very likely unless that team is a team that's already making the playoffs. So if there's a big, we're the 10th seed and we go off and win it all, it's going to be like Georgia or Alabama probably doing that.
Yeah, there'll be one big upset.
And the only way that's happening is if like they had a bunch of injuries like early on in the season. And then
I think you guys both underestimate the likelihood of upsets. I bet you every year there's one upset of like.
But the way
I'm not talking about a singular upset. There's always going to be upsets. I'm talking about a team winning the national title. Because it's not like college basketball where if you make it far enough, then like Final Four, you can put it on a banner. Are we putting Final Four on banners now in college football?
I think maybe,
I guess, but I don't know. I think one big upset will happen, but I think this has realistically made it even harder for teams that aren't national title level teams to win it all.
I disagree because they weren't even invited before, and now they are.
Yeah, and why weren't they invited? Because like, okay, why is no one? There's been one other time where, like, for instance, a Big Ten school that wasn't Ohio State was let in, and it was Michigan State because they pulled off an upset, and then they got blown out anyway. There's the scenario where it's like, well, you need to pull off one or two big upsets. Has already been a thing. Teams can already stop Alabama or Clemson from going to the college football playoffs. They just can't pull off the upset. But now we're putting them in a position where they need to pull off 4 upsets in a row against those top teams. I can't see it.
I guess.
Here, I wrote a paper on this, and I think here's the biggest problem that I have. The transition from the BCS to the college football playoff was designed to create more parity in college football, and it failed at that miserably. I
don't think that's true.
I do think that's true. I don't think it created.
The 2 points of the 14 playoff, in my opinion, I don't mean to interrupt you, but making it so where there would never be a team that deserved to compete for the national title at the end of the season and didn't get a chance to, and that would happen because sometimes there's 3. Usually there isn't, but sometimes there's 3, and it was to make more postseason games because that makes more money, in my opinion, at least.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair, but I think the expansion of the playoff is like from a fan's perspective, most people think it is to create more parity. But the problem is that adding more teams will not create more parity. Historically, we see that. There will not be an increase in parity in college sports. In college basketball, we have March Madness. 7 of the last 10 national champions have been 1 seeds, and there's only been 1 who wasn't a top 5 seed in the past 10 national titles. So we're going to go 10 years.
But that's three that are outside the main thing, and it's like
and that's in college basketball.
If you imagine the college football playoff, if you imagine the college football playoff as seeds, you have the first four. That would be 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, and then like that's all that have been making the playoffs in the last couple of years. 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed, 1 seed. Now you're adding teams that are the caliber to be 2 seeds in March Madness. Like that is the caliber of team they are, and I think a 2 seed can beat a 1 seed. Like that will happen. It will happen.
Yeah, it will.
At least once a year. We will see one of the teams that would have been invited to the 4-team playoff. One of the teams that would have been invited to the 4-team will lose. And then that will be like, okay, well, this was worth doing because clearly that team was not the best one because they just got upset. And I feel like that's exciting. That gives teams chances. That gives teams that are outside the like main club of big teams like a chance. I think it'll be exciting.
The problem that I see is that there is a much bigger drop off in talent from like a 1 seed to a 2 seed in football than there is in basketball. Because you're not just dealing with a talent gap at a player level, you're dealing with a coaching gap. And the top
coaching
coaches
exists in basketball.
But I 100% disagree. College basketball is not college football. They are not the same thing. It is far easier to pull off upsets in college basketball. Also, college basketball plays like 30-something regular season games. So for a small team, like let's say it was a 14 playoff in college basketball, small team would have no chance because when you play that many games, you're going to average out, round out. It's going to be even harder to finish in that top 4 if you're not actually a top 4 team. In college football, you only play 12 regular season games. So the 8th best team only is going to have to pull off an upset or two to all of a sudden be in that top 4. And they just still don't do it. Like we watch Ohio State, Alabama. Ohio State didn't even look like they could remotely compete with Bama. They stopped them like one time that Alabama was legitimately trying to score because Mac Jones had like a stupid fumble. The game wasn't even close. And Ohio State was legitimately the 2nd best team in college football last year. I definitely agree that there's going to be some upsets in the early rounds. Absolutely. Like you'll definitely see one of these 1 seeds, I guess we'll call them, one of the top 4 teams that isn't really a national title level team like Notre Dame last year, where it's like, okay, they're great, but they're very beatable. A team like that, I think, will get upset by maybe like a Georgia or whoever, but I don't think we're going to see a huge change in who actually ends up being the national champion.
Yeah, maybe not, but I think it'll be more fun to watch. That's my whole thing. Is like I think there'll be upsets that'll draw in eyes more than bowl games would, and maybe the national champion stays the same. But that's not a bad thing, is it? Like the best team wins at the end. That's what's supposed to happen, and I think the process to get there will just be more entertaining. But that's a whole nother thing. We got to talk about the NBA Finals. I know Matt is like wants to get another word in, but we got to transition.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
No, yeah,
I do agree. It's gonna make cool games. It will.
I suppose it will, but yeah, I know you guys want to take a victory lap on me because the Hawks lost. So if you want to, you can.
You took a victory lap after they were up 1-0. You were like, I was so right. I was suck it.
I took a victory lap. I took a victory lap. They were up by 1. No. I took a victory lap for them making the Eastern Conference Finals. It just so happened that they also happened to win Game 1.
All right.
Like before we recorded. I was going to take my victory lap regardless.
Well, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference between like, I think the Hawks are legitimately going to win versus I'm picking the Hawks to win because I got to stick to my guns,
Right.
And you were more picking the Hawks because you had to stick to your guns. But I'll give you credit. They did make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I didn't think they would.
Right. But the finals, I go back and forth. It's going to be a great finals, I think. 2 games that between the Bucks and the Suns in the regular season. Suns won them both, but they were both like very, very last minute. The Suns won that second game on kind of a questionable Booker foul. It was like a 1-point game. So those don't really mean much to me. Like the Suns win 2-0 against the Bucks. I think that this is going to go kind of the distance as a series because every reason I think the Suns could win, I can think of another for the Bucks.
I think that this is a pretty dangerous series because, okay, well, my real prediction for who's going to win is whoever's healthier. And that's lame, but that's who it's going to be. Almost certainly, you'd figure. Yeah. And right now, Giannis is hurt with a knee problem, and they have every reason to rush him back. That is a recipe for long-term injury.
And a coach that I don't know if I trust to make good decisions, and a coach that I don't know if I trust him to bring back Giannis in a way that gels with the rest of the team. I don't know if I trust him to work him in a way that perfectly makes sense and runs totally smoothly. I think the Suns have the coaching advantage. I think the Suns have the point guard advantage, and a guy that I think can actually that I trust more to handle the ball, which is something the Bucks just haven't really had and don't really have. I think that's their one weakness, is like, who is their primary ball handler? It's something that I think is the cause of why they're so inconsistent at times. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they look totally disjointed. And the Suns are the healthier team. Now, the Bucks have the best player in this series if Giannis does come back looking like Giannis.
I agree.
I think Booker had problems with Patrick Beverley in the Clippers series, and I think for long stretches of the Clippers series, the Suns didn't look that good. And if Booker had problems with Patrick Beverley, he could definitely have problems with Drew Holiday or Chris Middleton or whoever they throw on him, or whoever it is.
I agree with you, Theo, but I don't think they're the same player. Patrick Beverley is a menace to society.
He is, but he's a menace, but like he's not like this better defender than
it's
like
not.
Than
but
like
I don't think it's
I think a lot of what makes Beverley a good defender is, first of all, he's very skilled, puts in a lot of effort on defense, but he's also a guy like Drew Holiday has to do a lot more on offense, and that kind of wears you out and it makes it harder to focus on defense. But I think Tucker would be the guy I'm maybe worried about, because he's going to go in there, and I don't know exactly how he's going to match up with Booker, but I know that is when they put him in, his job is to slow down Booker. It's not to go play good defense and go do all this on offense. They're fine with him sitting corner on offense.
No, I agree, and I think that Booker is not going to have a great finals. I don't think he's going to be like, I don't think Booker is going to step in and just go nuclear like he did against the Nuggets, who didn't really have anyone to match up with their backcourt, or the Lakers, who also really didn't have anyone to match up with him in the backcourt. I guess Schroeder kind of, but like the Bucks.
KCP's a good defender too, but yeah,
I guess he is. But I don't know. I feel like Booker is going to have kind of a slower finals, and it's going to be up to maybe Ayton and Chris Paul. And Chris Paul has been a little bit streaky, and Ayton is Ayton, and if Giannis is in on him, maybe that slows him down. So the Suns I could see them coming out and just not shooting great and looking a little bit disjointed if Booker gets slowed down like he did versus the Clippers.
That being said, if there's any team that I trust to, at least for one game this series, come out and just lose because they're not shooting great and just taking dumb shots, it'd be the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh my God. I mean,
that is true.
And I'm actually kind of nervous that this finals might not be that good, because both these teams are super streaky. And is it going to be like game one, Bucks can't hit anything, Suns win by 20. Game two, Suns can't hit anything, Bucks hit everything, they win by 20. Is it just going to be taking turns? Who decides like they want to show up night after night?
It could be.
It could be.
I feel like the Suns are less likely to just like not show up. Even if they're a little bit streaky shooting, I feel like the Bucks are more likely to just completely fall apart in a game. Especially if Giannis
lost with Giannis to a Hawks team with no Trae Young. Like, that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know they ended up winning that, but like they are very like not show up.
Yeah, they're just like prone to just like not existing at all. And they got blown out in that game.
They did.
The coaching difference is pretty rough. It's going to be tough to find the coaching difference this heavy in another final series, unless there's one I'm forgetting. The Suns are also the healthier team right now, but that could change very quickly because Chris Paul is very injury prone and really unlucky with stuff like this. But Giannis will come back earlier than he should, almost certainly. It's hard to imagine that they actually.
He has to. If he misses like 2 games and they go down 0-2, he's playing game 3.
And that's the fear. He misses game 1, the Suns win. Then all of a sudden you're looking at a game 2. You're playing for maybe the series, because if they go down 0-2 and the Suns stay healthy, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull off that comeback, because they just have these games where the offense is rushing and can't hit anything, and it's brutal to watch for Milwaukee. And Bud doesn't get them settled down.
Right. So it sounds like we're kind of leaning the Suns, is what it sounds like.
I've already said Suns in 6.
You did. I feel like the way this conversation has been going, I do kind of lean Suns, but I could totally see them losing too. I could so see them losing. Well, and I want to bet. I want to find somewhere where I can bet against.
You're the pessimist. You always bet against your team.
Once this recording is done, I'm going to find some way to put $100 on the Bucks. I'm going to find as soon as we get done, I am putting money on the Milwaukee Bucks. So at least if we lose, I will make some money. But as far as this pick goes, I think the Suns might go up 2-0 and then end up winning in 7. I think that might be. I think maybe Giannis is hurt the first game, they win. Then Giannis comes back a little bit early and they're a little bit disjointed to begin with. They're up 2-0. Then they hit a little bit of a rhythm. It gets closer as the series goes on. It ends up going 7. And then Chris Paul says, I'm going to win this finals. And then they win. That's my prediction, I guess.
The way that I look at it, I kind of like it like the Clippers series almost, where it's like the Clippers got it to 3-2 and you're like, oh my God, are the Suns going to blow this? The Clippers look really good, but then the Suns figure it out. Sitting here right now, that's how I think the series would go.
Okay.
But the most important thing to this series, by far, how healthy Giannis is. And we don't know how healthy he is. So we are throwing darts blind.
Well, we do know how healthy he is, and that is he's not that healthy. Like we know.
Well, okay, is he not that healthy as in he's going to play hurt tonight, or is he not that healthy and he can't play the next 2 games? Because those are two
that I guess I don't know.
Yeah, and it's tough because by the time this podcast comes out, game 1 have already happened. We'll already know how hurt Giannis is.
Exactly.
Maybe.
It's just, as we're sitting here right now, I'd rather be the Suns without knowledge of how Giannis, how long it's going to take Giannis to get back and how good he's going to be when he comes back. But if Giannis comes back game 1 and was 100%, I'd probably go Bucks in 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I've got to find a way to bet on the Bucks though, so I can at least either see some money or the Suns win, because that's
you're either happy or you're right. You're either happy or you're right.
What's the situation with you going to the finals? You're a Suns fan.
I don't know.
You have to.
I have to go back, and I hope it goes 7 because I get back to Phoenix on the 16th, so I'll be cutting it close. If the series goes long, I should be able to make it to whenever it ends, whether that be with the Suns' victory or not. But I don't know if it's worth flying back when I'm going to be there in like a week and a half anyway.
Could you go to a Milwaukee home game?
I am in Wisconsin right now.
Yeah,
but
yeah, just like you have to go. This is a requirement.
Yeah, you do have to go. This isn't like being a Lakers fan and the Lakers make the finals and you're like, oh yeah, if I don't go this time, it'll be right back there.
Are you saying the Suns are going to be a mega dynasty?
I'm saying I don't love
keep
their
it
odds
real
of
with
them
you,
being
Theo.
a mega.
I'm going to throw up. You guys are a Suns. You're a hater.
If the Browns go to the Super Bowl and I don't go.
Well, you like the Browns more than I like the Suns. If this was the Packers, it would be different. Like the Suns are my second team. Like the Packers are the main team. Still,
yeah, but there's also at least 4 games. It's not like you just have one. Like the Super Bowl, you have one opportunity.
We'll see how it plays out. We'll see how it plays out.
Who knows? Maybe the Suns do become a dynasty and they make the next 15 finals, and it was silly to even talk about.
Aiden's going to be the best center ever. Booker is the next Kobe. It's going to be like Shaq and Kobe all over again. Chris Paul his game is going to age into his 40s like Tom Brady.
He's playing he's like Brady. He's playing it until
he's going to play it until he's like 45. And
he's just going to eat his nuts and berries, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, he's vegan. He's vegan. He'll get them all on the vegan diet. They'll all play until they're 40.
Vegan diet.
Yeah. All right. We'll see. We'll see. I've got to get down there though. I really do.
Yeah, so you have to go. You do. Absolutely, you have
I just have to play it by ear and see if I'll have to fly down there or if it'll still be going when I'm back on like the 16th.
Speaking of nuts and berries, we hear that Matt hates lemonade. And
right. Matt thinks lemonade is overrated and he thinks Dr. Pepper and
I had it yesterday.
Okay,
it's not overrated.
No, we had Chick-fil-A lemonade, which is like, because Chick-fil-A is already mid.
Don't talk to me like I've never had lemonade before. I've had lemonade, man. I know it's fine. Lemonade
We've
is
got
fine.
this is just the larger
Okay, but you
conversation
think-
is that soda is not that good, and soda, especially
so
dark soda.
we had this conversation basically because I quoted a tweet that said water is better than any form of soda, and I said
Which is very true.
That's absolutely
I agree.
facts,
I agree.
right?
and then I said Sprite is the only soda that is worth getting, like worth drinking.
correct, and that is
Yes.
correct. And then we ended up making a tier list where water is the best drink. There's a gap. Then there's lemonade.
Lemonade and
Then
cider
there's-
and chocolate milk.
Yeah, there's like lemonade, cider. I don't like chocolate milk, but I can understand why it's up there. It's like lemonade, apple cider, that kind of stuff. Then there's a huge gap. Then there's Sprite. Then there is like the Grand Canyon of gaps, and it's everything else.
Vanilla Coke is pretty good. I'll give that as being acceptable, but I wouldn't like buy a 12-pack of it at the store and bring
Oh,
it home.
yeah. Well, I'm
Like,
not
if
buying a
off-
12-pack of lemonade. I'm not gonna go
would.
drink a bunch of
Yeah,
lemonade.
I would buy a 12-pack.
I would get the can of lemonade and make it in a pitcher and just have that
lemonade.
in my
Lemonade is
freezer.
one of those things where it's like, I'll have it if it's there. And if I'm like in an amusement park and there's a lemonade thing and I'm really thirsty, I'm like, okay, that's a lemonade time. But I'm not. It's not a go-to. It's not
That's how
a
I feel
go-to.
about
but you would-
most
so you-
pops,
as
but-
far as
So
the
Dr.
soda hate
Pepper
goes,
is a go-to?
absolutely. That's there's a lot of restaurants you'll go
Jail.
with fountain,
Jail.
fountain things. Dr. Pepper is great. Here's the real thing about it though. You're going to get a lot of people agreeing with you about the soda taste.
Because
and that's
we're
fine
right.
if you don't like soda. That's fine if you don't like soda. But what it is, it's not really a disdain for soda. It's a need to feel like it's like, oh well, it's really bad for you. Don't you? It's really everybody
It's also
knows
just-
soda's
it's-
bad.
it
for
doesn't
you.
taste-
It
it's
doesn't
not
taste good
refreshing.
enough to justify me feeling like this shit is bad. Like it doesn't taste good enough. There's some like a Twix candy bar tastes good enough where I'm like, this is worth eating, even though I know that this sucks for me. Soda is not good enough, especially when there's so many better alternatives. Like it is not good enough to justify.
It's also
how bad it
not
is for you.
refreshing. It's not refreshing at all.
It's kind of not really like that. Chocolate milk isn't like refreshing.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
like
but it
chocolate
tastes
milk.
better
Sweet.
than any soda
It's
does.
tasty. And I love chocolate milk. All I'm saying is that I know soda's bad for you. Everybody knows soda's bad for you. It's still good. That doesn't mean it's terrible. Soda,
It's
there's
not
some
good
good
enough to
sodas.
justify.
Maybe
It's not good enough to
soda's
justify
overrated.
it.
Maybe there's some
is.
overrated sodas, but vanilla Coke is good. Dr. Pepper's good. Root beer is kind of a fun spot drink. I'm not going to have that all the time, but every once in a while, root beer is
Root
good.
beer
I like
floats are
cream
good,
soda.
but-
Yeah, root beer, stuff like that. I kind of view root beer and lemonade almost as like the same sort of where it's like it's something I like to have occasionally, but I couldn't have
Lemonade
it
is refreshing,
I don't
though.
know.
That's a big part of a beverage being a good beverage is how refreshing it is. Water is the most refreshing beverage possible. Then lemonade is very refreshing. Apple juice is refreshing. But like most
I
sodas
disagree. It's
are,
how good it tastes. And after I work out, I'd rather have Gatorade than a water. Gatorade tastes better. It's more
you're
refreshing.
wilding. You are
no, I'm not.
wild. No,
Nope.
water is
is-
absolutely.
Oh,
what
so
should
you would rather have like apple cider?
No, I'd
compared to,
rather
like,
have
Gatorade
water.
after a
I'd
workout?
rather have water. I don't like Gatorade. I think Gatorade's incredibly overrated.
Blaiden is
I
kind
don't
of
know.
right about that.
Refreshing level is not the only thing. taken
Gatorade's
into
not
account
refreshing.
when you're judging.
Gatorade is not refreshing at all.
I disagree.
I don't think.
I 100% disagree.
Maybe how much something is refreshing is subjective. Maybe.
No, you're telling me that drink rankings aren't objective?
Let's go. Let's get out of here. Oh my god.
You know what?
Play
You
it,
know,
please.
if you
Regardless,
hate us,
flop.
you can just say that. If you hate us, you can just say that.
Look, all I'm saying is that if you think no sodas are good, I feel like you haven't tried enough sodas.
Maybe I haven't tried enough sodas, but
Blaiden,
No.
no point. There's no comeback here. Welcome. Thank
Fine,
you for
fine.
listening to another wonderful episode of Stay Hot. We'll see how my son's doing these finals. We'll see how Hard Knocks goes. I'm excited to get the NFL up and running and all this going on. And I guess we will see you on Friday, I think, for another episode. And,
right.
you know, Blaiden, you want to say it? I'm not going to say it.
We'll catch you on the flippity flop.